like I just walked into a meeting that I wasn't invited to. You guys? Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I was contacted by someone who found me on YouTube, I believe, and asked me if I could help him out with a couple of GM stereos. And I'm thinking, well, why not? I mean, let's diversify. This is a stereo from, I believe it's a pickup truck. And one way to tell is the number of audio outputs. In the old days, a pickup truck stereo would typically have two audio outputs, a left and a right. And there would be no fader. This one has a fader. So the wiring diagram, oh, it's from a GMC Sonoma, so I was right on part of that. So it looks like we need to go find out where the power's coming in from. So orange and yellow, we'll just run them off. So orange and yellow. So orange is going to be our constant 12 volt. The constant 12 volt is typically for memory function retention, or memory retention, clock, programmed stations, etc. And the switch 12 volt will activate the unit. We're just going to twist them together and power them off of one cable. Okay, now we got to worry about our audio. So front speakers and rear speakers. This might have been like a double cab or something like that. Dimmer is brown. Now that one, I believe we need to apply voltage to get the lights to come on, but we'll find out in a minute. And we're just I'm gonna wire this up and see what I can come up with. How's that sound? Good? Okay. All right, I got her all wired up. So 91 to 93 GMC Sonoma. That's like the official truck of, sir, I only had 2 drinks. I swear to God, only 2 drinks. Come on. Cut me a break, man. The official truck of, I only hit her once. Anyway, let's turn the voltage. Let's check our amp drop. Chirp power on. Here we go. Okay, drawing very few amps. All right, so we got full illumination. So this is kind of nice. I love fluorescent displays. This is a vacuum fluorescent display. When they're in good condition, they look nice like this. When they start to go bad, they start to dim out. My 1999 Nissan Sentra, car that I kind of miss for weird reasons. I miss that car. But it had the factory stereo with a vacuum fluorescent display in it. I like those. And it's funny because vacuum fluorescent displays are like almost extinct. They're just not being used anymore. They were at one time used in almost all consumer electronics. And slowly but surely they've begun to fade away. And they were used more recently in Chrysler products. Yeah, Chryslers. Anyway, let's turn it on. It's playing the tape. Oh God. What is this, John Mellencamp? The Black Crows, yeah. I would expect that in a 91 to 93 GMC. I'm sorry, I don't need to shit all over the Chevy pickups and all. All right, let's put it back in. It's got the clean indicator on it. I'm gonna look into that. I think I don't know if it's a timed thing. Like, for example, if there's like a factory cleaning tape, and you have to put the cleaning tape in every so often, and it resets it, or if it's just sensing the fact that the head needs to be cleaned. We'll take a look at the head and see what it looks like. It could be that it does I've never seen a cassette deck automatically sense head cleaning condition. This could be the first. All right. So the problem, he says, was the number 2 button, lights, and auto reverse. So we've got to power up the lighting circuit on this. We're going to have to probably tie into the illumination, which is gray. Yeah, don't get these confused, by the way. So, because there's this gray wire, and then there's the other gray wire. Same color, you know, do different things. So let's try to get the illumination going. So we got our lighting on, and I'm going to just dunk that away here. So we have a few lamps out. A couple, actually. So yeah, that still checks out. Now, if I put the tape back in, he says the number two button. It doesn't check out, but the number 2 button works fine. The tape reverses direction just fine. He said it wasn't auto reversing. You see this man right here? I wonder if that is because auto reverse is turned off. I don't know. Oh, auto tone, that's what that is. You know, I gotta say, and UXW Bill seems to keep trying to poke me on this whenever he joins our live feeds, but I have a dislike for GM. Let me talk about that for a minute. So, General Motors, all right, I grew up in a trailer park, okay? GM is, or was, the official vehicle of the trailer park. And not nice GM products. They were mostly second or third hand vehicles. And they were, like, everyone in my neighborhood who owned a GM product, it was like on its last legs. So, you know, muffler issues. One of my neighbors actually bought a second-hand. She was the second owner of a Barney Purple, a Barney Purple, 1995 maybe. It was a Chevy Blazer, 4-door. It caught fire twice. The second time it was a total loss. But like, my hatred for GM stems from my childhood. Growing up in the mid to late 90s, and the GM products that were on the road at that time that were used were, you know, pretty shitty, actually. Problematic. My parents bought a Chevy Celebrity wagon. And it had the backwards facing, you know, 3rd row seat. It was a kind of neat little, you know, station wagon, but it left us stranded. So, and my dad was a mechanic. He was an automatic, and a pretty good one. He just hated GM products because they just kept developing random weird ass problems. Now the cars that I'm talking about were most of them were from the mid to late 80s. And they just had a lot of teething problems from when the U.S. car makers were beginning to develop more efficient fuel systems and such. But yeah, I mean, I hate GM, but you know, my point in saying all this is that I've never had a bad thing to say about any GM stereo. They always sounded great. They've always had more oomph, it seemed. Than any other stock radio. And I'm already liking this thing. I like these little push-out buttons. You know, my Miata has, you know, multiple function rotary knobs that you have to push and pull and press, and it's just GM. They take all of the basic functionality and they just throw it out there for you. Here it is, bass, treb, and look at that. As soon as I push in one of these knobs to adjust it, it automatically switches over to manual adjustment. That's pretty cool. I mean, it's pretty well thought out. And this thing, despite being from about 1993 to 94, it still works. But he says the auto reverse doesn't work, and that's what we are here to find out. But the number 2 button doesn't work, he says. And auto reverse. So we got lights. We need lights. Okay. And auto reverse. So I'm thinking maybe the belts are worn. Let's take a look inside. Let's just crack it open. You know, it was, this thing is built a little bit like the Panasonic and how it's all snapped together. Wow, there's a oh my god, you guys, you're gonna love this. This thing is actually pretty well made. It's got a conformal coat on the, oh fuck am I gonna, I'm gonna have to make some noise. I don't want to lay it on its face, so let me just push these all in here. I have no idea what it's gonna cost this guy to have me fix this thing. He just said, just see what you can do with it and let me know. So let's just take a look at it and see what we got. That was a good move for him. But okay, this is really built bizarrely. Where is it? It was made in Mexico. Okay, so it was made in Mexico. So it isn't. Delco was at one point an American manufacturer. They made everything here in the States. That was then. This is now. So to get that faceplate off, I'm gonna have to, okay, so the connectors are on, the removable connectors are underneath, so we gotta take this bottom cover off. Okay, that makes sense. This thing's in really good shape. I don't know, okay. Let's just see what we could do with this thing. I don't know what I'm going to charge them for this. This isn't going to be my usual. Like with the Mazda stereos, I can kind of predict what I'm getting myself into as soon as they reach out to me, because I've had enough of them apart. I kind of know what to watch out for. But these Delcos, if I expand my my empire a little bit and I start advertising to like Corvette enthusiasts, I'm going to see a lot of these. So this is why I was kind of glad that this gentleman reached out to me, because I'm going to see stuff like this more often if I really start to get my name out. I started doing that. I went to a car show the other day, about 2 weeks ago. Went to a car show, brought my Miata. It gained a lot, or it got a lot more attention than I was expecting. I mean, it's just a 94 Miata, but I guess those are cool now, so cool. Anyway, as I was saying, I handed out at least 2 business cards to various people, which was kind of cool. One guy had a Ferrari Mondial. I had a Blaupunkt. I think I may have mentioned all this in my last video, so excuse me if I did. looks like we're going to have to pull this board up and get to those connectors. Yeah, I think I can get them from here. And I think we need to remove, looks like the tuner. Yep, there's going to be some shielding on the other side of this. And these are our grounding points. I don't think this particular stereo is worth a lot of money, but it's worth enough where someone is willing to pay shipping and repair costs. So we try to treat it with dignity. But I'd say a majority of these have, you know, they've already been ripped out of their cars and thrown away. So there's a connector, removable connector on this board. All right, let's take a look at this for a minute. What do we got going on here? This is going to be our tuner board. That's likely our amplifier board. Let's see if we can see any evidence of exploded caps, any leakage. No, I don't see anything. It's really not a lot of caps on this board. So this one houses our tuner circuitry. All of these right here are adjustable potentiometers, or they're tunable circuits or tunable coils. I forget the exact term for these, but they all have slugs in them that can be adjusted up or down. This is analog circuitry at its finest, integrated with a digital tuner. But yeah, these right here, you don't want to mess with those. This thing is in really good shape, I will say that. You know, no moisture damage, nothing really. Why is there a light bulb here? That makes no. There's got to be a reason for that. Why would they put a light bulb there? Someone's going to tell me in the comments. So they put a conformal coat on a lot of these connections. For what reason, I don't know. This isn't actually, this is like a celastic material. We've got these caps. We may end up changing these, like these big ones right here. We'll probably put new caps in it. When I go to order the lamps, I'll throw in some capacitors and just get those done. This is written in Sharpie, so somehow this was, I don't know if they made a production change or. Let's get these out. And anytime I crack open a radio, whether or not they want Bluetooth added, I'm going to look at what that might take. And on this one, we got to isolate. Yeah, and we don't have a schematic. Once again, I mean that would be too much to ask, but we would have to basically isolate where the audio is coming in from the tuner and then going into the amplifier. So I think this is probably not one I want to get involved in, but yeah, you never know. So this connector right here, this is where we would be making our splices. We just need to find out where the audio left and right is. But that's the connector that we would be tapping into. It looks like that's what would have to happen. But if you look at the bottom of the tuner board, there's a conformal coating over the entire thing. Very thin, but it's kind of like you see that shininess? Covers all the resistors. My mother works for a plant, a company, if you will, that actually applies thin film deposition coatings. So that's not what this is. This is something entirely different. Okay. So this is the other side of the faceplate. I wouldn't say this is better or worse in terms of manufacturing quality than the ones I'm used to working with, but definitely is unique. So I got, oh no, we're not at this, we're not doing this again, are we? I think I found a broken solder joint, as is tradition, but maybe not, maybe not. We got to take this faceplate apart and see what kind of lamps it uses. So issue number one, lamps. We got that. Issue number 2. Auto reverse. So push button number 2. I tested it. It works fine. It's triggering the reverse function. So I'm gonna have to reach out and see what it means by that. Okay. Let's get the cassette deck out. Let's try a different size. It's a little sloppy. Wouldn't it be funny if this thing was made with American fasteners? Wouldn't that be something? U.S. standard! You son of a bitch. I'll have to use my tweedledee-dums, tweezers to get those out. Tweedledee-dum. Guys, they're fighting in their bed. Really, dude? Treat your brother with respect, huh? Freaking cats. Alright, let's get this cassette deck out. Let's see what we got going on here. Alright, oh, watch out for those loose wires. Okay. Alright, let's take a... Guys, oh my lord, they're slamming each other against the wall. So I like this. This is nice. It's gear driven for mode selection. What's the head look like? Head looks clean. A little bit of wear. The pinch rollers are very glazed. And what the hell why is there corrosion in there? Why would that be? Our first clue. There's corrosion, specifically right here. Now, if there is a circuit board below that, that would be a problem, wouldn't it? There isn't, though. Yeah, auto reverse doesn't work. Auto reverse typically is engaged when the unit stops. So when the I believe it's when the take-up reel stops moving or something like that, it automatically triggers a reverse direction. And the fact that it will reverse direction when I manually trigger it, that's different. Okay. Let's take this bottom cover off. Let's just see. I hope that there is no I hope that springs aren't going to fly out and I'm going to turn something to get out of time. So there's a flex cable here. We gotta pull that up. I'll use my hook for that. Let's undo that flex cable. Pull this up and gently lift this up and out of the way. Okay. So, oh, nice. So you see this guy right here? All right. This is a rotary mode selector switch. And it actually has a little diamond right there. That diamond lines up with this arrow. So if this gets moved, just make sure it goes back like that. And that's how you keep it in time. Now this belt is trash. Look at it. It still works, but it could use a replacement. I'm going to try to find, yeah, see how it's, here, let me show you what I mean. All right, see how it's kind of stretchy? Yeah, no, that's not good. Not supposed to be stretchy like that. But to its credit, it's not broken, it's not gummy, but we should replace this belt. Yeah, I would say that would be a smart idea. You can tell, look at how it's got flat, it's got, see this right here, this mark right here? When I lay it down, you can tell that it's been sitting a long time. So here and here, it's got those kind of permanently in the belt. That's because it spent a long time not getting used. So I've got to identify the size of the belt and try to find a new one. All right. Okay. So what I'm going to do for this gentleman is I'm going to just kind of price out a few things, and we'll throw new electrolytics, the big ones, into it just because you know, we have it apart. Why not? And we'll do that. We'll do a clean and lube of the cassette deck. We'll replace some blown bulbs. Oh, I have this all wrong, didn't I? No, wait, it goes. Okay, I'll figure it out. It just so happens that there's actually a second unit that I did not tell you about. He sent me 2 radios, and as a bonus, we're going to look at that one too. For the record, this is how it goes. I actually went back to the video and I looked at it, what I had done. So I want to point something out. Even if, so because the belt, it has a, it has 2, what would you call that? 2 bends basically in the belt. So I'm going to show you, if I rotate this mechanism manually, you see how you can actually see those bends kind of working their way around the loop. What those are going to do is every time that bend hits one of these smaller pulleys especially, it's going to be noticeable in the audio. You're gonna hear it if you're really attentive. So that belt is definitely trash. As for the auto reverse not working, as far as I know, it has to do with this sensor right here and the circuitry that reads it. So we want to make sure that, well, actually that's not entirely true because, well, it is true, but I don't know. I don't know how the logic determines when, if it's, yeah, you know, it would have to be sensing tape speed. So if the tape speed sensor isn't working correctly, then it would definitely trip it up. And it uses this reflective wheel here. Okay. Overall, though, this thing is in good shape. I'm going to recommend a new belt, and I didn't actually personally witness the auto reverse not working, so I can't really comment on that. Let me see what I can get for parts, and we'll start there. Let's also take a look at the lamp situation, see what we can do about that. I gotta put a cloth down. I don't want to scratch up the guy's faceplate, so let me go grab something for that. All right, so let's get that faceplate apart and see what's going on. We're gonna need a different socket. There's the kitty squeaking. Squeaking like an old cassette player belt. Okay, yeah, these are I have metric, little mini metric sockets, and this thing uses US standard, and yeah, there's no fitting that. How the friggin' hell am I supposed to get that apart? I don't have the standard. Why did they do that? Why the hell? It must be a union thing, I guess. I don't know. But I don't have anything that'll fit that. Shit. I guess I have to buy one. Well, I don't have it. I literally do not have a tool that will fit these. I don't own anything that'll fit that. I've been stumped by GM. It's fitting, I guess, right? I have an idea. Took my larger sized socket, put some electrical tape on it, and no, and no. No, it didn't work. That would be too cool, wouldn't it? Let's try another piece of tape. Yeah, I do not possess anything close to that size. Well, no. No, no, no. All we need to do is just identify the type of bulb used. That is all. That's all I want. So, yeah, I got the next size down and the next size up. Nothing that will fit it. So I guess my limited are options. So we're gonna use pliers. We're gonna do what GM mechanics have been doing for years. Monkey wrenches and pliers, man. That's what they do. That's what they do best. We're gonna loosen these up, and then we're gonna take our little toolage and we're gonna pull them out the rest of the way with that. This should work. Don't forget, there's a reason they put an insulator here. And I bet you, oh yeah, here's why. It's right next to a powered, well, there's a ground, and then there's like probably a 5-volt rail or something, maybe 12-volt rail. And if that is not, I'm going to mark that off so that I remember. Washer, remember what that's there for, in case I ask later on. I put that there so I don't short out. I bet you in the when they laid out the board, they didn't compensate for that. So that sort of stuff happens all the time, by the way. And you'll see various fixes that were applied on the factory floor to compensate for engineering mistakes, and that would be one of them. So here we go. Look at that. That worked like a charm. Put those in my cup. Well, it kind of worked for a little bit. No, huh? Work once, never again. Okay, well that worked once. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put regular screws back in. Just because. Somebody stop me. Alright, let's try 3 layers of tape. I am not going to buy, unless I start getting like piles of these things in, I am not going to buy any special tools to work on one thing. I don't want to get into that mess, you know? To work on one radio, I gotta buy special tools. Are you kidding me? No, we're not doing that. Yep. Yeah, see, once it starts to slip. Yeah, this video is going to be a little bit longer, I think, because I have another one of these to look at, and we're going to look at that in this video. Stay tuned. Got them all. And I didn't buy a special tool to do it. All right. Oh, no, I'm lying. I am a liar. There's one left. I didn't get it out. I'm sorry. episode. I only had 3 of this. Would you mind stepping out of the GMC Sonoma? I don't think that's physically possible. If I get out of my GMC Sonoma, I'm gonna fall on my face. Sorry. My apologies if you are a GMC Sonoma owner. I mean, no disrespect. This is really interesting. So the volume control is mounted on a post, which, you know, I gotta say, I don't dislike this. I don't dislike this at all. I think it's kind of interesting how they built this radio. It's different, but it's also quite good, and I mean, not poorly made at all. It's just unique compared to what I'm used to seeing. And how the hell does this go? It's got to drop in somewhere. Maybe it goes like this. Maybe it doesn't go like that. This just sort of fell out, and I'm not really sure how it goes, honestly. This is what they call a light pipe. And it's used to spread light to where it is needed most. I think. But a lot of what I'm seeing here is like what you would see, you know, long after the product is designed. And they're like, oh shit, it also has to do this. Oh shit, it has to do that too. Can we add this too? And they're just, you know, the engineers furiously taking notes and, yeah, we can do it. Just calm your horses. What the hell? Where does this thing, how does this thing, where does it go? I don't freaking know. But it has to go back in somehow. Maybe it goes like this? No. We'll worry about that later. Let's take a look at that fluorescent display. Look at that beautiful fluorescent display. You can see that it actually has CD control functionality. So the display, now these are expensive to make. So if they would make like just one particular display unit, one part number, right? They probably use this display in like every single radio that they had available at that time. This is a cassette only deck, and the control panel doesn't seem to have any CD controls, does it? Next, program, previous, reverse, forward, tape, aux, AM, FM, no, it does not have CD controls. So what they did with this radio is, again, they just they produced, oh, you know what? I bet you there is a CD player option that plugs in the back. There is a connector that's not currently used by anything, and that must be what it's for. Now these bulbs, I believe I have some of these, very similar bulbs, and we'll just replace all of them. And I think I can certainly make that happen for him. We'll just replace them all, and that'll be it. This is an LED right here. They used LEDs for status indicators, and everything else was an incandescent bulb. Okay. So we have a bill of goods, I guess, if you will, for this guy. I think we know what we need to do here, or where to start. I got to reach out to the owner, see what he wants to do. In addition to all of this, I'm going to polish this right here. We're going to polish this with motorcycle windshield polish. It'll make it look brand new again. We'll make this nice. We'll make it nice for him. And we'll figure out where the hell this goes. Because from what I can tell, it doesn't seem to go anywhere. It just sort of fell out as I'm lifting the whole board off. But what it really does, though, All right, so there's light behind all of these buttons here, and there are no lights below it. So that light is shared or split, if you will, between the two. So that's quite interesting. I don't know what to make of this, but it's pretty clear what it's supposed to do. But how it goes in, that's the mystery. That's the mystery. So, no, not seeing it. Definitely not seeing it. What's behind that? That's the fader. Maybe it goes over here somehow. I don't know. But if I don't put it back in, what's going to happen is some of the lighting isn't going to be where it's supposed to be, which would suck. The poor owner. I don't know. Yeah, you can replace all those. All right, let's put this aside. Let's take a look at unit number 2, and that's where we're going to end the video. So let's grab the second unit and see what he's got going on there. These are his notes. Here's what we got. Top round black button push. Auto reverse. Base square piece is missing. Clock works when powered. Does not turn on with power button. So there's a possibility that this might be a good parts unit, and I hope that's the case. Because as from what I can tell, from what he's telling me, I'm not going to be able to fix this. So let's take a look at what we got. Now this guy follows directions. I told him to pack it well, based on what we learned from the last one. Boy, howdy did he ever. Oh wow, here's a familiar beast. This looks like the stereo that was in my mom's Oldsmobile Delta 88. This is an oldie. Boy, I remember these. So you know how I pretty much trash talk GM vehicles on my channel a lot? Well, there's one exception. My mom had owned, my parents, oh yeah, he's missing this right here. That's what he's talking about. All right, so my mom had a 1990 Oldsmobile Delta. It was an 88 Royale with the sport package. Sport appearance package. It was a beautiful freaking car, black with gray interior, and it had, I believe, this same stereo in it. It was very similar to this, although most GM stereos did kind of look the same. But this, my God, this is what it had. Radio Bueno, $226.93, and I can already tell you this one has seen better days. Oh man, this has seen better days. Same harness, by the way, same connector, assembled in Mexico, so same factory. I can't use this for parts. It's a completely different unit. Let's just plug it in and see what it does. The connector over here. Yeah, that other one looks pretty promising. I think we can fix it up. He does say the auto reverse doesn't work. Now, I don't know about that. We'll look into that a little more once we know a little bit more, you know. So let's plug this guy in. And I don't know what this other connector's for, but I'm going to ignore it for a moment. Actually, no, I think that has to come out. But I'm going to tell him that, you know what? We'll put our attention in the newer one, and then we'll see what happens with that. Okay, so here we go. Got a clock. He says it didn't turn on, right? Oh, there's a power switch. Yeah. I'll say it doesn't work. See if this tape works on it. So this is about the only stereo that I'm aware of that GM used these, where the cassette goes in face first, like that. Yeah, I should have kicked it right on. All right, I got to reach out to this guy, see what he wants, and we'll kind of go from there. All right, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll follow up once we know more about this this newer radio, and maybe we can get it fixed up. Maybe we can't. Maybe he doesn't want to put the money into it. I don't know. This one, I'm not really going to put any in. I'm going to suggest we just scrap this one. I'll send it back to him, and I don't want to mess with it if I don't have to, because I don't have parts. And I think this is old enough to where getting parts is going to be a challenge. But it's funny because it's about the same age. Huh, interesting how they kept these in production. They're about the same age. Right? You know, that one does kind of look a little newer. You know what? I'm wondering if maybe that is actually a newer radio. I think that radio is probably from '95. I'm not a GM guy, but I would say that this radio is from at least 1995 or 96. Just thinking back, because I don't know what year the pickups were redesigned from the what do they call it? The square body, the old body style OBS. When they redesigned them again, like for the refresh, I want to say that was in 95, maybe? If I'm not mistaken. I don't see a production date or a clue anywhere on this. So I don't know. This has got to be newer, though. This has got to be newer than that other one. It has to be. Is there a clue, like, on the production plate on the bottom of it somewhere? I'm gonna start. Now I'm gonna wonder. I do think it's newer, though, by quite a bit. Well, it could be 6 months newer. It depends on when that refresh cutoff was, and I don't remember where it was. And someone will chime in, because I know there's a lot of GM guys who watch this show, this channel. So I know there's a bunch of you out there. So you're gonna correct me when I'm wrong. The plate does not have a production date on it, though. Actually, it kind of does. 94. A94. I'm seeing 94 a lot on this. SPE test 60 94. It's got to be 94. Probably for the 95 production, or the 95 model year. I think that's when they were redesigned, was in 95. So anyway, let's take this from the top. You know, next time we'll get on this, and we'll do our thing. All right, I gotta go find the email and reach out to the gentleman who owns these, see what his plans are, and the Black Crows. I remember when these guys were. I never liked John Melling. You know what it is? Okay, all right. I'm gonna digress for a moment. We're gonna talk about bands for a sec. When I was a kid, I pretty much only listened to one radio station. And for those of you in the Northeast, in New Hampshire specifically, Rock 101 WGIR. Now, WGIR was the only station that you could get if you were in a lead-lined bunker 200 feet below the Earth's surface. You could get Rock 101 in New Hampshire. That station has the strongest antennas around. I don't know how they do it. Nevertheless, it was the station that I mostly listened to as a young kid. I'm talking like age 5, and probably from about age 5 to about, I'd say about 10. By the time I was 10, I was starting to listen to some classic rock stations and stuff. But I remember when, like, it must have been 89 or 90, but all they would play were, like, I think I was in kindergarten. All that I would hear, I turn the radio on when I come home from school, and I listen to it while I'm playing with my cars and stuff on the floor, and it was always those two hits that the Rolling Stones had. I remember their lineup almost like it was yesterday. So they would play Black Velvet. I don't recall who was it, Bonnie Raitt or something like that. I don't know. Black Velvet. If you just Google it, you'll find it. The song would come on every day at around the same time, and there was always those two late 80s hits that the Rolling Stones put out. They escape me, actually, right now. I haven't heard those two songs in a long time, but there were just two songs. And I can't think of the tune right now, but and then John Mellencamp and the Black Crowes, and it was like, I hated the guy's voice. That's what it was. Even as a kid, I couldn't stand his voice. Maybe it was because I heard the song every day at the same time, every day. It seemed like it was like this. It's like they just wouldn't stop playing that one or two songs. And I think Jealous, was it Jealous? Hard to Handle. Now, Hard to Handle, it's hard to understand. That song, it's like, hey, limit, that's what it sounds like. And it turns out there's words. I looked it up. There are words. There was that song, and they kept playing that song constantly. And here my 5-year-old little brain is getting destroyed. Jealous, again, that's the other one. Those two songs, they would just nonstop. Black Velvet, and then it's like, dude, does he not have a tongue? Anyway, sorry. I don't mean to. I sound like I complain a lot, like GM sucks and Black Crowes suck. No. Just not my preference. Doesn't mean they're bad. Doesn't mean they're not. The guy's done real well for himself. He's got it going on. But anyway, all right, it's time to go, and I hope you guys come back and watch the rest of this. So we got it all apart. I think we know what we need to buy for parts, and we don't. Now let's talk about before I sign off. Capacitors. So they're not leaking. There may be no reason to replace them, and and just to save him a few bucks, I'm not going to. I'm thinking about this now. They're not blowing up. They're not leaking. They're just old. But what you've got to realize is that capacitors from a certain era, they don't necessarily need to be swapped. If this radio was from 2003, they would be blown up to bits by this point. But the older capacitors were well made, the formula was stable, and they just don't blow up. They don't just blow up like they do today. Unless they're in really, really strenuous circumstances. An automobile stereo would be considered harsh, or a harsh environment. But that does not mean they all need to be replaced. What I usually do, though, is, depending on it depends on the situation. In this case, I'm probably going to recommend we just replace them. I'm kind of on the fence on this. I could test them with an ESR meter, and I can probably guarantee you they'll pass. I have an ESR meter. Here's where I'm going with this. To test them, to see if they're bad, you have to remove them from the circuit. Either lift a leg or pull them out entirely. Being mounted the way these are, you've got to remove them. Just take them out. And my thought is this. You've got them out. They're not expensive. Just put in new ones. Do I even have these? This one right here specifically, the 100 micro 50 volts. I don't think so. No, I do not. So we'll have to buy some of those. Not hard to get, not hard to find. And on the amplifier board, these are the ones I usually pay attention to. So our amplifier is probably over here. I think that's our amplifier right there. You'll notice that there's a giant capacitor, a 16 volt, 4,000 micro. This one will replace. Why the hell not? Now, this is our power supply side. How I can tell. Transistors are used to take that 12 volt input and split it up into various voltages needed for various circuits. And you've got one of these. This is just a visual thing. You've got this. This is a multi. There's a name for these, I'm sure, but it's basically there's multiple transistors in one package, and then you've got another one next to it. Okay. And then there's a few caps nearby. Where there's caps, there's voltage regulation going on in some way, shape, or form. So we'll replace these because we can. They're not expensive. They're not hard to find. This one here, this 4,000 microfarad 16 volt, that is our audio capacitor. This one stores the charge. It's like the water tower powering the city that is the speaker network. And this stores a lot of current, or a lot of power, and it disperses it as needed. And then you've got two identical packs of transistors. That's how you know this. And then you've got the heatsink. So this is your audio side. This is your power side. Don't know why there's a random incandescent bulb in the middle of this stupid thing, but I'm sure there's a reason. Oh, I know what that's for. I know what that's for. Believe it or not. I just figured it out. That is more than likely used to light up the cassette deck. Yes, that's what it is. That lights up the cassette deck. And I bet you there's a cutout for it on this bottom plate. So the bottom plate goes on like this. Where's our cassette slot? Oh wait, no, the cassette's over here. Oh, that just seemed too good to be true, didn't it? It did. Wonder what the hell it's for. Well, anyway, could be used for ballast, who knows. All right, that's it. I'm done. Enjoy.